Okay, we're going to start with The Nation. PDP crisis article forecloses discussion on office sharing. 70,000 ghost workers, MDA directors face ICPC probe. Duty on imported pre-2013 vehicles rises by 120%. 18 die in the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway night accident. Acting Accountant General replaced. 1.4 trillion naira recovered from debtors, says AMCON. World Bank's $1 billion COVID-19 fund for poor nations, and 2 Catholic priests abducted in Edo. Okay, what are we starting with?
The duties. Nigerians, very few Nigerians can afford to buy brand new vehicles because it's really expensive. And right now, import duties on fairly used vehicles have gone extremely high, 120% on vehicles manufactured before 2013. So usually, where you get to pay 300,000 naira or 500,000 naira to bring as duty, you now pay 1 million to 1.3 as just duties on the vehicles. The officials say the government is protecting Nigeria from becoming a dumping ground for overaged vehicles by implementing this vehicle identification number. However, most common vehicles are your old models of Golf, Toyota Corolla, Toyota Matrix, and some other used vehicles that have become palliatives for Nigerians. And Nigerians are complaining. The chairman of the National Association of Government Approved Freight Forwarders, Mr. George Okafor, said the challenge is that cars from 2012 model downwards are still paying the duties of 2013. So I really want to understand what the government is trying to achieve. So the acting national president of Nigerian licensed custom officials has said that the VIN platform has made payment of duties vehicles huge, and the government should go through the Federal Ministry of Finance to review the policy for the favor of Nigerians. Please, we are begging. There are many young Nigerians that they are hoping to, they are saving up to buy that small Golf. They are thinking is now a dumping, Nigeria is a dumping ground for. We don't have options.
The painful part is that, importers are now diverting again to neighboring ports.
So they now lose it.
Because of this inconsistent
fees.
So the World Bank says they have established what they call an establishment of $1 billion COVID-19 financial intermediary fund to finance critical investment in national, regional, and local or global levels. And they're targeting pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response in low and middle income countries around the world. These monies are donated by some major countries that include the United States, the European Union, Indonesia, Germany, the United Kingdom, Singapore, and the Gates Foundation.
Okay. So I've got this story. So they are saying some assistant directors and their collaborators in ministries, departments, and agencies have been linked to what is called employment racketeering. And this is when they find a way to forge documents, sign documents that employ people who are not meant to be employed in these MDAs. And these people will be facing prosecution via the ICPC. So because of IPPIS, the federal government has been able to find out these 70,000 ghost workers as of now. They feel that the number is even much more than that as they continue their investigation. They said really it is the sole responsibility of the MDAs to recruit workers, and some of them have now abused their office by issuing out fake employment letters to people. And people would say, those who are working in those departments or ministries would be like, we're so overwhelmed. And yet, federal government is not doing anything, is not employing people. So they're wondering what has caused it. But IPPIS has opened it up, and that it has saved the federal government billions of naira. That's just from getting these 70,000 workers. And that very soon we'll see the names of those who are involved, the assistant directors and their collaborators who are involved. Their names will be written out.
Okay, so the major headline, PDP, the crisis within PDP is hopefully we're trying to see what can happen, because Atiku, the flag bearer of PDP, should be back home this week to lead the reconciliation committee towards Wiki. If you recall the issue going on, because he had picked Governor Okowa as his running mate has caused a lot of rancor within the party. And the chairman of the BOT, Jibrin, has advised him that he should go with ministers, other governors, to accompany him to go and see Wike, because the truth is that Wike obviously is recognized as a major component of the party, and the possibility that Governor Wike or Ayofayashe and others leave the party is a huge threat to his presidential ambition. Here, Atiku also expressed his worry that he had actually had a meeting with Governor Wike and Okowa before the selection was made, and they had a gentleman's agreement. So he was really, really upset there, and he was disappointed that Governor Wike reneged on his agreement, that we agreed that, okay, whoever it is I pick, we'll accept it. But unfortunately, that happened. But either way, there was speculation, because they were reminding us that during Atiku's time, during MK Abiola's time, Atiku had stepped down. You know, where MKO picked King Dibe. So it's not cast in stone. At some point or the other, even after reconciliation, nobody said that, but maybe they're hoping that Okowa will step down and let's tell Wike.
But it's interesting that if they had that agreement, it could possibly be just Nigerians talking, and Wike's like,
the agreement.
These Nigerians are talking so much about why I shouldn't have been the vice president, and he now decides to talk. No, sometimes it happens that way. Or it could be
that Wike thought it would be the one, because the gentleman agreement said it could be any of them. And one person is thinking,
okay, so it was not defined. No, but the way Atiku is saying is that it was already agreed upon.
Let us move on to the Punch.
Yes,
we can't spend everything on this show. We'll find the story somewhere else. PDP orders panel to beg Wike. Okay, I took that story. Man sets estranged wife ablaze. Burning woman grabs suspect. Both die.
Wow.
Nigeria now like war zone. Methodist Archbishop laments. Gunmen abduct 2 Edo Catholic priests, 6 Enugu residents. ASU strike enters 140th day. Serap others lampoon. FG.
How sad.
You don't need gun for self-defense, Adeboye tells Christians. IOC's divestment threat to Nigeria's oil sector, says federal government. And years after controversy surrounds 300 billion textile revival fund. Okay,
let me take the human interest story. So a man named Ponle Adebanjo has been arrested. He set his estranged wife ablaze, and unfortunately she passed on. They said that they had been married 3 years. She was previously married before she met him, had 4 children. She met him the 3 years. She suffered physical domestic violence, and that's why she left the house. But it got to a point that he was even reported to the police. So this was a case that was very much had been reported to the police. He insisted that there was no way she was going to leave without him. He had now gone to her house insisting that she should go back home, and it's either she lives with him or no other man will stay with her. He then found her in this room and set her ablaze. They said she grabbed onto him, after he had set the room on fire, to make sure that he was with her while that fire was, was going off. The only thing is that she passed on and he lived, but obviously he also was affected by it. Neighbors came and intervened. That was how he was saved. And he's been handed over to the police station. What's sad about this is that women do the right things. So in this case, she's in a domestic violence condition. She found her way out of that place, but he still followed her. They say he stalked her for a long time until he was able to do this. It's really sad. Somebody has to be able to protect the woman.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Talk about the story.
Yeah, the ASU story. Really, really sad story. Serap was speaking up concerning the fact that ASU has still been on strike for the past 140 days. Today makes it 140 days that ASU has been on strike. Also, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and non-academic staff of the Union of Education and other allied institutes, like everybody is on strike now. They are doing 68 days of being on strike. So the complaint is that it's sad that we've been unable to resolve the issues of underfunding and lack of appropriate funding and lack of compliance of governments to the agreement signed by the government with ASU. He mentioned how most of the people suffering this are children of the poor and average Nigerians, while the political class and people of the middle class and higher have their children in private universities and outside the country. The Deputy Director, Kolawole Oludare of SERAP, mentioned that the inequality in education have a rolling effect. It will continue to affect every other area of our lives, that education is a right. And it is a right that enables human beings to demand other essential rights. And so it's important that we fund education and support education. They tried reaching out, Punch tried reaching out to the Minister for Labour, who christened himself as the Reconciliation Minister, but they weren't able to get any response from him, and the issues are a whole lot. It's just really sad that we're counting days like this on issues that can be resolved.
Honestly, it really is so sad. It's not a war-torn country, and yet universities have been shut for over 100 days. It makes sense.
The chief executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Gbenga Okomolafe, was speaking yesterday, saying that he had described the divestment by the international oil companies of Nigeria as a threat to the industry. And he said that this is an opportunity for local players to take advantage of these divestments. He said it is indeed the right time to look inwards in the sector to boost the capability of the local content in value addition and optimizing the development of the nation's hydrocarbon resources. So it was just, we already knew they were divesting. I mean, the five major players, I think it's Shell, Total, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and they're all divesting in a certain parts of the sector, and hopefully local players can begin to play in that sector. Moving on quickly now to Daily Sun. VP slot, Tinubu looks towards Northeast. Ohaneze gives Southeast governors marching orders on Ebubeagu. Again, gunmen abduct 2 Catholic priests in Edo. Fuel scarcity worsens in Abuja. Armed robbery suspects meet Waterloo in Delta gun duel. PDP crisis stakeholders shop for IU's replacement. Insurgents breeding future generation of terrorists, says Commander. And Arewa group urges Buhari northern leaders to do something about insecurity. Okay, I was going to start with let's start with the major headline. So Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, initially, many thought that he was going to be looking for his vice presidential candidate from the Northwest, and this is because many have argued that the Northwest carry about 39% of the votes that were cast at the last elections, and they have the block that he needs to win the elections. However, there are indications that he's looking the other way, and this is possibly because our current president and past president have been from the Northwest, and there are quite a number of cabinet members, many from the Northwest. They've been from Katsina State, and according to the stories in 2023 and 2011, Bello, Muhammad Masari, Aminu Tambuwa were all elected speakers of the House of Representatives from the Northwest. So the Northwest has actually had quite a number of people in various key roles. Even our current president is from the Northwest. So there's a possibility that Asiwaju is looking towards the Northeast, although governors in the Northwest are not very happy about it because they're insisting that they have the numbers if he wants to win these elections. However, the conversation is ongoing and is negotiating, consulting with them to make them see reason for him to go to the Northeast. We'll see how that goes because we've been going back and forth on who he's going to pick for his vice presidential candidate, but we'll see how the negotiations go on. Any other story in Sun?
Yes, 6 armed robbers met their Waterloo in Delta State. The DSP PRO, the PRO of police in Delta State, Mr. DSP Bright Edafe, gave the news. It happened in 2 different locations. The one in Warri, according to him, there was a distress call around Igugu Market / Old Welfare, and the police officers moved to the scene, and the hoodlums took to their heels, but the gallant officers went after them, in his words, and they were able to, in a fierce gun battle actually, were able to, they killed 5 of them. And then in another area, Asaba, one attack, one person, one of the armed robbers also got killed. So about 6 armed robbers got killed over the weekend, and we must applaud the police for the good work that they are doing in protecting our lives.
The theater commander of the counter-insurgency operation in the Northeast, Operation Hardin Kai, Major General Christopher Musa, said that about 60,000 combatants and non-combatant Boko Haram members have so far surrendered to the Nigerian army, and that he raised an issue of concern. He said that the way the Boko Haram keep producing children, it seems like, there's a deliberate intention to raise future terrorists. He said, when a woman puts to bed, she takes in almost 4 months later, they have over 30,000 children. And you can see that what we are building up is an implication that, you know, they're building up future terrorists. They are deliberately procreating, multiplying towards their agenda. But I think this issue is something that is an intelligence issue and something that they should use to plan.
Yeah, so there's a story of the 2 Catholic priests in Edo State, Reverend Fathers Udo Peter and Philemon Obo of St. Patrick Catholic Church, Uromi, and St. Joseph's Retreat Center, Uboha, of the Catholic Diocese of Uromi. They were traveling from the Benin, along the Benin-Auchi Road on Saturday, and they were kidnapped. And this is just a week after Reverend Father Christopher Odia was kidnapped and gruesomely murdered. The police are aware of this. They said that they have started a very aggressive and rigorous investigation to try and make sure that they find who these people are. His friends and family are saying, their friends and families are saying that these are just priests, they don't have money, you know, they are just serving God, and this is really disheartening that they would be, you know, targeted and kidnapped. And then concerning Father Christopher Odia, I think there's an update on his story. It was implied that the people who had murdered him were maybe random, they were his gardener or people that worked for him. But they said no, that this person was not someone that worked for he wasn't someone that was in the community or someone that worked for the father, but he has been arrested.
Okay, moving on quickly now to the point. Parties orchestrate defections of disgruntled opposition members. Despite hard times, investors stake 485.5 billion on the 54.27 shares in Q2. 8-year-old people crushed to death after school sent her home for 300 naira. And widening cracks in PDP as threats as it tickles presidential ambition takings. Government incompetence on insecurity beyond comprehension, says Ayo Adebanjo. You have the 8-year-old story.
Yes, I have it. So this young girl, the primary 1 people of Ndugwe Igbeagu in Easy local government area of Ebonyi State, Becky Agada, lost her life after she had been brought to school by her dad, who was surprised that, you know, after all bills had been paid, she was sent back home for a 300 naira for workbook to collect that money from her parents. And on her way back, along the Abakaliki Ogoja highway, she was hit by a hit-and-run vehicle and crushed to death. Her father is saying that, you know, this exposes that the school doesn't have proper plan because he doesn't understand why a child will be sent back. I think there was a time when a young girl went viral in Warri for being sent back for her own fees. I think what the schools should do is, you know, disallow parents from leaving the children originally when they bring them in the morning, rather than send a child on her own back home from school because of school fees.
Moving on quickly to Vanguard, really sad story. Vanguard, VP slot APC governors insist on colleague as compensation. Banditry terrorism, 2 ex-CDCs, Agua Ibrahim back. Recall of retired military officers. Fuel scarcity won't end soon, Nupeng warns. Christians don't need guns for self-defense, says Adeboye. Kidnappers live like kings inside forest along Ore Ijebu-Ode highway, says escaped victim. Police confirmed kidnap of 2 Catholic priests in Edo. Amechi promises to end Rivers APC crisis in weeks. 28 die in Ogun Yobe auto crisis, and 2023, I'm offering Obi golden opportunity to be my VP, says Kwakwanso. Okay.
So, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, General Overseer of Redeemed Christian Church of God, had to clarify his statement because plenty people were misquoting him, and he said that he never asked Christians to buy guns, and he said that he said this because people were quoting what he said, that fire for any attack on Christians, that he didn't ask Christians to buy guns, that Samson didn't use guns in the Bible, and that the Bible doesn't, that we don't fight with guns, that the core things Christians should do is to prevent people that can cause havoc from having access to the church. So he said, don't buy guns. You don't want to kill anybody. You just must make sure that unwanted visitors don't come into our churches. So don't go and buy guns. And he said this during the Holy Ghost service on July 2nd, which made Thanksgiving yesterday around. So that's simply what he said. And it was in response to what happened in the war and the killing there.
The Oga of Nupeng has said that fuel scarcity is not going to end. And he said the major factors that we already know, because governments and he blamed oil-producing states, he said, rather than invest in refineries, considering that you have abundant crude in your state, you are investing in airports and all of those things. And so this issue that we have, this crisis that we have, is basically because we still buy finished products of crude from other countries, and because of importation and all of those other factors, we'll continue to suffer this scarcity that we are in presently.
Sure.
You have a story? We have to run. There was a story concerning Kwakanso, the thing that he's going to offer him. He was just saying that that Peter Obi should be his own running mate because he has built the NNP. Like if he steps down from NNPP, that they've been building that structure for over 30 years. He can't just leave the NNPP party. It's better off for Peter Obi to be his vice president. However, Labour Party is saying, no, thank you, that we are going to be rallying people around to support the Labour Party candidate for presidency. It's just an interesting,
let's see how that goes.
Interesting time. Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we move on to a hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.